Hello, everybody. My name is Donna Levinson, and I have the unbelievable privilege of being the Assistant Dean of Admissions at MIT Sloan. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you who are calling in from all around the world. This is such an important topic for us. I'm so very glad that you're taking the time to join us. I'm also joined by incredible colleagues who have information that I know you're interested in and who are also, um, share my enthusiasm for all of your interest and for ensuring for each and every one of you, you have the information that you need um, to apply to our programs, to eventually, if admitted, matriculate, and that you're excited to join us. I know that over this past year, perhaps there's been some hesitation, perhaps there's been people taking a pause thinking, is this the right thing for me to do to go to the US? And I'm here. Will I be welcomed? And I'm here to tell you, and I'm sharing what our president has said last spring to our international students. This is from our president. Just let me say, MIT would not be MIT without you, and we would not be able to fulfill our mission without having an incredibly global community. When we were thinking about putting together our panel of students, we wanted representation across all of our different programs, as well as across, many different continents. And so with that, I'm very excited to have this group of students here with me. And what I would love for each one of them to do is to introduce themselves. If you wouldn't mind, what program you're with, and maybe what you did before Sloan. And then we're going to just talk about your experiences. And so, why don't we begin with Aditola?
Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. My name is Adetola Adeleke. I'm originally from Lagos, Nigeria. I am a Sloan Fellow, SFMBA 26 to be precise. And before I joined MIT Sloan, I've been an engineer for over 13 years, working in the energy industry, specifically with international oil companies.
Great, thank you. How about Beatrice?
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. I am Beatriz, I'm Brazilian. I am a second year MBA student. And prior to Sloan, I worked at management consulting and also at startups.
Thank you. Clarice.
Hi everyone, my name is Clarice. I'm currently a first year MPhil student, class of 2027. I actually just graduated from Wellesley College a few months ago, so I'm like very new to this. So very excited to be here.
Thank you. Fakri.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me here. My name is Fahri, from Indonesia, born and raised there. I'm MBA 26, so same as Beatrice, second year MBA. Before coming to Sloan, I was co-founding my own startup and also working at Impact Investing. Thank you.
And then Teddy, last but certainly not least.
Hi everyone, happy to be here with you. I'm Teddy, originally from Madagascar, first year MBA, so class of 2027. And before Sloan, I was working in finance in Berlin.
And Teddy, let's stick with you for a minute. Tell us a little bit about why you chose MIT Sloan.
Yes, definitely. I was actually looking to explore skills out of
Oh,
finance because I was working in finance and investment, and I was looking for a school where I could certainly use the skills I had before. I have an engineering degree actually from 7 years ago in France. So I really recognize myself in the values of Sloan, building principled leaders, and generally, the community. I came to Admit Days, which I know is complicated when you're international, but it definitely helped me feel home when I met the people, when I met the faculty, and I met the school in general. So, yeah, that was the main reason why I chose Sloan.
Okay. How about Clarice? Why did you
So
choose Sloan?
well, honestly, I would say Sloan kind of like feel like home since my sophomore year at Wellesley because we can cross-register at MIT, since the sophomore year at Wellesley. So I started actually spend a lot of time here pretty early. I took some classes and also did some research with the Sloan professor. So actually last summer I worked full-time as a research assistant at Sloan on ESG and corporate finance project. I would say this experience kind of like sealed the deal for me. Like I really enjoyed the academic side where like people take ideas really seriously and then like the research culture is like super rigorous. So basically by the time I applied to Sloan, it wasn't really a question about like why Sloan. I think it's more like, oh, I've basically been here for like 2 years already.
Hmm. That's very nice. And how about Aditola? I am not going to ask everybody every question. We're going to get some variety here, so please don't feel offended if I skip you.
All
But
right.
Aditola, how did you,
So
well, yeah.
thank you. I chose the SFMBA and Sloan because I had a number of trusted friends that actually passed through this program and they gave glowing reviews to the program. And I can say that being in this program, everything they said, you know, the program is much more than what they said. It's a fantastic program. I got to a point in my career where I knew that I needed to see more. I knew that I needed to broaden my horizons. I'd gotten to the point where I don't know what I don't know, so I just needed that real exposure. And
Mhm.
MIT Sloan is a place where, before things become mainstream, before you get to hear about it, maybe on the streets of Twitter or something, it's already happening in MIT Sloan. The innovation culture, the fact that a lot of technology and a lot of things are being created in Sloan was really a driver for me to come here. And I've not been disappointed since then.
Always good to hear. So, slight shift here. I'm curious, and Beatrice, I'm going to start with you. Excuse me. As an international student, how did you find community at Sloan? And in fact, across MIT, as an MIT Sloan student, you are also an MIT student. Were there specific clubs or initiatives that really helped make you feel that you were truly at home?
I feel that the internationals are very integrated to the community. So there are many clubs specific to your countries or region. So I'm a co-president of the Brazil Club, so I get connected to all the rest of the Brazilian students, but also my colleagues internationally. On your first semester of the MBA, you get assigned to a specific um, ocean. So you take all your classes with the same people, and uh, that works very well to get close to the rest of your colleagues. You will go to many social events with with this group of people. You will do all your work assignments with them. And also before the classes start, if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend going to a pre-function, which is a trip with maybe 10 to 15 other Sloanis that are also just starting their grad programs. And everyone is literally on the same boat, regardless if you are international or American. And everyone is very open to meeting new people and making friends. So yeah, I really feel very, very, very much at home here.
Valkyrie, do you have a response to this question?
Yeah, sure. Plus one to everyone we just said, but just um, there are a lot of like communities, whether it's inside of Sloan and also MIT wide. So I'm also part of like the Indonesia club across MIT, but at Sloan there's also like Southeast Asia club. I think the Ocean and the core team that Beatrice mentions also uh was a good uh mention. I'm still friend with I still hang out with them every now and then. And there are a lot of like communities like an event like the yarn. I love the yarn because like people sharing their personal stories, like it becomes like you feel like the sense of community at Sloan as well from doing that. Yeah.
Okay, Teddy, do you have a response to this question?
Yes, of course. In my particular case, so even before the admission, when I was applying, I reached out to the Pride group, for example. So if you have a specific affinity or some interest, I don't know, a certain kind of sport or certain kind of business, I think I would encourage you to reach out to clubs to ask them, oh, how do you live your passion, or how do you practice, I don't know, the sports that you like, so that you can already create some connection. Because in my case, that was really helpful in making also the choice of going to Sloan. And actually, even before arriving at Sloan, I already knew some of the people from the club, so it really helped me feel home. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question, and I am actually going to ask all of you, and then once we finish this, we're going to open it up with the help of my colleague Turo Williams to take questions from the audience. But I'd love each one of you, to give a piece of advice. We understand that there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding studies in the US for international students. Um, whether it be visa related or just even whether or not people feel like they're going to be welcome here. And I would love for each of you to give one piece of advice to this pretty broad and global audience that we have to help them sort of get excited about the next steps, feel comfortable about the next steps, whatever it might be with regard to their journeys that you felt was really helpful with yours. And Aditola, we're going to begin with you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Donna. So, if I was to give one piece of advice to international students, it would be to have multiple scenarios that you are evaluating with respect to location where you'd like to work after Sloan, with respect to industry, and also with respect to what I call it, maybe the skill sets that you want to develop in your next role. And I'd say this because a lot of times, in my experience, when I came to Sloan, I thought I knew what I wanted, but the exposure that I got at Sloan, the people that I met, the courses that I took, and basically all the activity that's going on at Sloan, it's going to make you have a rethink. So, if you're rigid, you might miss out on some opportunities, but if you're open-minded and you have several scenarios, you'll probably more likely be able to plug into opportunities when they come to you. And that also gives you some flexibility in terms of what your ultimate goal is when you leave Sloan. So I'd say that you should have several scenarios that you're pursuing.
Oh, I think that's great. I'm going to take you on the road with me. I mean, I can see Rose smiling in the background as well. Beatrice, what advice do you have?
I'll also talk about recruiting because I see it as the main cause of
Yep.
stress in my
Yep.
peers. And I agree with Aditola, like be flexible, but also trust the process. Like we are all brilliant students. We have a very diverse and rich experience in our background. The CDO supports us a lot. There are many companies that hire internationals, and I tell you, like, trust the process. Like, all my colleagues got internships. All the second years I know got great jobs here. So everything comes on the right time.
Okay. Thank you. Clarice.
Well, since the first two panels talk about like work job, I think I'm gonna give some advice for the academic part, especially for like MPhil applicants or MBAN applicants. So I would say definitely give yourself permission to feel overwhelmed. Like you're not like felon if the first few months feel a little bit hard. I mean, like, come on, this is MIT. Like, we're all kind of expecting to be challenged with the new knowledge, with everything, brand new environment. Like, so just give yourself some time to settle down, and you'll definitely be fine.
Oh, this has been terrific. Fakri, what advice do you have?
Um, Maybe one advice that I'd give will be there are so many resources that we can leverage here, whether it's Sloan, MIT wide, Boston as a city, and everything. So I'd say I agree with Adetola that we need to be open-minded, but I think we need to also balance, like prioritize which one we really want to leverage, because if you're not prioritizing, you will be like overwhelmed and like drown in a lot of like these resources. But totally agree with Adetola. Uh, Prioritize, but keep your open mind to like see what's going on around you.
Okay. And Teddy, last piece of advice before we open it up and take questions from the audience?
I would really encourage everyone to dedicate a lot of time just going through all the resources that MIT makes available. I'm talking about visa, so you have the ISO website, like really spend hours going through all the questions. It's gonna save you a lot of time and gonna give a lot of answers. I'm gonna give a particular answer, but more on the career side. So I really spent staying a lot of time going through the admission websites, the city websites, and actually that helped me secure an internship very early. So actually, even before coming, by finding that there were some early recruiting offers that are open to internationals. So definitely spend time scrolling through all of those websites and their resources before coming.
Okay, well, thank you all very, very much. Now, at this point, I'd love to introduce my colleague, Terrell Williams, who's been monitoring the chat and the Q&A. And Terrell, I understand at this point there may be questions for our students. I see David is still here and Rose, and so they might be for them. But if I'm handing the microphone over to you.
Thanks, Donna. We do have a ton of questions in the chat, and I would thank you to the panelists for sharing your insights and providing this support for international students that are going through this process, maybe for the first or even the second time. So thank you all again. The first question I have for you is along the lines of just things you wish you would have known prior to starting the program. So what are some things you wish you would have known that you know now that you can kind of share as an additional piece of advice or some things to look out for as a student here at MIT?
Is there anyone in particular who wants to jump in? I don't think we have to have everybody answer every question, but
Okay. I'll answer that question. So
great.
something that I wish I knew is how important leadership development is. A lot of times, given my own background as an engineer, I'm very analytical. We kind of like focus on the facts, focus on the data. I was quite data centric. However, coming here, I realized that leadership and soft skills are very, very important. So I'd say that I wish I knew that I had to focus on it more. And I wish I knew that how important it was for me to develop my leadership skills. Because I find that um, conversations with my leadership coach here would have probably been more beneficial in terms of the outcome if I had a better understanding of how important leadership development really is in addition to your career development.
Thank you for sharing. So the next question I have is actually specifically for Fakri. So as an Indonesian undergraduate currently studying in Turkey, as someone coming from Indonesia, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to thrive at MIT within the classroom culture?
Yeah, for sure. Nice to meet you. From someone from Indonesia. Happy to have you here. I guess the biggest culture, I don't know about in Turkey, but Indonesia, undergrad culture was you come to class, you don't need to read anything before, you listen to the professor, you have exams and everything. So it's a really passive experience. I found coming to the US, the culture here academically was you need to be active in class, you need to prepare everything before class. I need some adjustment in the beginning, but I think definitely very doable. And then the other thing was the social culture. I think people are very open here. People are really eager to like know each other, whether it's like your friends in class, whether it's like alumni or like your professor. You really can like just reach out to professors and like ask questions and discuss with them very openly. So I guess that's like the biggest cultural difference that I found here.
Thank you for sharing. This next question is specifically for Beatrice. And it's touched on something she mentioned earlier about oceans. So, what were some of those pre-function trips that some oceans take part in, and how are the oceans designed? And there's maybe a specific MBA program question, but they want to know like how the oceans form as students.
So there are two things on this question, right? The pre-function and the ocean. So the pre-function, as I mentioned, is this 10 to 15 person trip that you go to a place, and there is a long list of potential places you can go to. For example, Yellowstone. I went to Acadia National Park. There are people that went to Miami, or even internationally, like Belize, I think, somewhere in France. So there are many options, and then you send them what are your most preferred trips to enroll, and they assign you to a trip based on your interests. And the people that go to the same trip as you are usually individuals that also share their interests with you. So it is easier to make friends. For example, people that go to a trip A might be more interested in partying, whereas people that go to a trip B probably are more interested in hiking. Um, and after that, the classes start and you get assigned to this ocean. So I'm Caribbean Ocean. And the ocean is very diverse. So there are people from all over the world. There are many Americans for different places. I think that's built intentionally to be a very diverse group of people. And then you spend the whole semester with this same same group of around 70 people. So besides the classes, there are many social events, so pre-games to parties. There are many parties every Thursday from the clubs. And also, some oceans also organize some trips. So, for example, my ocean went to Nashville together, which was very, very fun as an international, because that's also something very, very American. Um, but yeah, so you have a lot of opportunities to get close to people in social events. If you're not a super social or party person, there are also tons of opportunities. So there are many clubs that organize lunches or just like a coffee together, or a puzzle night, a trivia night. Um, so yeah, it all depends on your interest.
If I could just add one thing, Terrell, because I think this is so very MIT-ish. I think part of the question was how do the oceans get formed? And in the old days, it was a massive Excel spreadsheet with filtering on lots of different fields, like Beatrice said, to really, have a balance across the different oceans. Maybe 3 years or so ago, one of our faculty members actually created this little AI engine that now creates them, and they're constantly like assessing, the quality of the oceans and feeding more intelligence back into the model. So it used to take a very long, like hours, if not days. I think now takes 20 minutes to run. So I think that's a very cool MIT-ish story.
Thanks for sharing, Don. And then the next question I have is about significant others. So if anyone has a significant other, could you talk about how they have been integrated within the community for those that may be applying with a significant other?
Yeah, I can add to that. As you might probably see, sometimes my son come beside me. Then so I come here with my wife and my son. I didn't touch on this, but there are a lot of resources that significant others can leverage as well. So I live, for example, first from the housing perspective, there are like family housing. I live in Westgate. This is like a very good place for families because there are a lot of like activities for like our partners, a lot of like children activities, so play dates and everything. We have like a very good playground and in our apartment as well, so it's a really good place. And then other resources that we can leverage as well. There are significant others club at Sloan. There are also like sometimes spouse event like MIT wide. So there are a lot of like resources that SOs can leverage and become a part of the communities as well. And SOs are also like very open and welcome to join any events at that Sloan's arrange. So we are very open. SO is very open, and they are very welcome.
Yeah. If I just can build on that too, besides the SO club, the SOs can also be part of whichever clubs they want to. So, for example, the wine club, Brazil club, football club. So that's also very good to get integrated into the community. And I also have my SO here with me, and everything works very smoothly.
Awesome. I want to ask this question specifically to Clarice. So, as an MPhil student, how have you shaped your goals or journey during your time at Sloan?
Well, I think for me, it's like I didn't really have a lot of like full-time job experience like other students. So basically for me right now, I still kind of feel like I'm in the process of learning new stuff because I was actually major in economics and minor in statistics. So I don't really have a lot of finance background. So basically for this specific semester, I was more focusing on building up my coding skill, building up all the finance knowledge that I should know. And then also at the same time, applying for the summer internship because I'm currently in the 18-month MPhil program, which means I do get a summer. So for me, right now, studying, but also at the same time trying to find like a summer internship. But also, I think a good thing about MPhil program is that we do have a finance lab that happen in winter time, which is around which is actually in January. And then for me, basically, I will work in a group of three, and then we're gonna work for a company for that for the class. So I would say my goal right now is just to build up my skill and try to find a summer internship. And then after that, I think I will just do look for a full-time job.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So, Ted, I'm going to come to you with this question. Then, Donna, I'll pass it back to you to wrap us up. So, could you share one of or some of your more memorable moments at MIT Sloan so far as a first semester student?
Yeah, a lot of good memories. I think some of them are actually in class, like learning new skills. We have amazing classes around leadership, communications, and I think some of the moments where you realize, okay, wow, that really was powerful. That was a very good moment. I think some of them were also the retreats, the conferences. We had in September a conference in New Orleans. It was all the LGBTQ clubs in the US from all the business schools, which was a career conference, and that was also very powerful. A lot of learnings, a lot of partying as well. So yeah, those were the two favorite moments I would share.